In this video, I'll be sharing with you the type of material you need to make a t-shirt, the yardage you need, and I'll be sharing with you the most easiest and the most detailed method on how you can achieve a professional boutique standard t-shirt. If you have not seen the tutorial on my short, I will link it down to this video, which is under our streetwear series playlist, where we have different tutorials on streetwear like cargo, hoodie, joggers, and the rest of that. So let's get started. So here with me, I have a trouser of this material. A trouser is 45 inches. So you have to make sure that you use the most stretchy part of your material to cut the width of your t-shirt. I'll go ahead to cut the length and the width of my shirt, and for the width of the shirt I'm going to be using 25 inches, and for the length I'm going to be using 27 inches. All right, I've gone ahead to cut this, but you can go ahead to make yours as long or as short or as wide or small as you deem fit. So I have two pieces of this for both the front and the back, which I've just stated the length and the width. I'll go ahead to place this on fold. Whatever your shoulder measurement is, you are going to drop it down a bit by 1.5 inches or by 1 inches at least. But you can decide to drop it more than 1.5 inches depending on the type of t-shirt you want to create. Now, my actual shoulder measurement divided by 2 is 8 inches. Now, you have to divide first before adding your shifting inches. So, my shoulder measurement divided by 2 is 8 inches. Now, I'll shift this down by 1.5. Now, the least you can do for this shifting is 1 inches. Now, at this point of my shifting, I'm going to come down by 1.5 inches like so, and I'm going to connect it with a slanted line to the top part like this. I'll go ahead to cut out this line. Now, I'll go ahead to measure 1 inch from this slanted line. I'll measure it from this top part here, 1 inch, and from the other end, I'll also measure 1 inch like this. So on this 1 inch point, I place on fold and I'll pin. Just make sure you're following your 1 inch mark. And I'll also pin the center as well so that it can stay relaxed while I work on it. So after pinning this up now, you'd notice that there's a part of this that exceeded your main fold. So all you have to do is to trim that part that exceeded your main fold. It will have no effect on it. Just trim it so that your measurements can be straight up. So next, I'll measure my shoulder measurement divided by 2, which I will shift away by 1.5 inches, which I have already explained before. So I'll just leave the marking here. Now, my actual bust measurement is 9 inches. You can decide to add 2, 3, 4 inches, depending on how wide you want your shirt to be. But for mine, I'm going to be extending by 3 inches. But if you know you have a bigger hip, you're going to use your hip measurements straight up, because a t-shirt is a shirt that does not have shaping. Whatever measurement you use for the bust is what you are using for the down. So just in case you have a bigger hip, ensure you use your hip measurement, add allowance as needed, and take it up straight. Next, I'll go ahead to measure the total of what I have from here to the front, which gave me 12. And I'll go ahead to measure the same thing at the hemming point like this, which is 12. And with my straight rule, I'll go ahead to connect this together. So my actual armhole circumference divided by 2 would give me 7. Then I'm going to come down by an extra of 1 inch because your armhole is not expected to be too tight as it's a free shirt. So I'll just go ahead to make my armhole curve like this. I'll still go ahead to check this to know if it is really more than my actual armhole circumference. And yes, it is more than my actual armhole circumference by 2 inches. So I'll just go ahead to cut this out. I'm not cutting out the full length because this is my actual length plus my hemming allowance. You go ahead to notch your shoulder fold. So I went ahead to separate the front from the back. I had to take one part of it. This is the other part. I separated it so that you are going to be cutting out the back neckline first before we cut out the front neckline. And I've gone ahead to place my 1 inch shoulder fold and pin it down as we did. So next, for the neck width, we are going to be using 3 inches wide. You go ahead to measure the same 3 inches on where the shoulder fold stops. Okay, connect it straight down like this. This is for the back neckline. Then you are going to make a curve to come into the top part like this. You make a curve like so. Now when you want to cut out the back neckline, you are going to be following your 1 inch fold like so. Follow the curve you just marked out and you cut this out. Now kindly take note that I did not cut the other part of the back neckline. I simply cut out the folded 1 inch that we folded to the front. I hope you understand. So that is what I cut out for the back neck width like this. Now you can just go ahead to blend this point to be straight like this. Okay, so this is how to cut out the back neck width. Keeping the back piece aside, I'll take the front part, place it on fold. Remember to put your 1 inch shoulder point on fold. Pin it up as we cut out the front neck width. Now for the neck width, you are going to be marking out the same thing, which is 3 inches wide that you use for the front. That 3 inches wide that you use, you mark it all the way to the part that your shoulder fold stops. Then for the neck depth, I would also be using 3 inches deep for the front. Okay, then you go ahead to connect it with a curve like so. Then you go ahead to cut this out. So after you have cut this out now, the point where your shoulder fold touches any point at the front, you are just going to mark it out. Then you unpin your shoulder fold, open it up, and you're going to be cutting 0.5 inches above the marked line. The sleeve of your t-shirt is very important. You are not expected to use your normal armhole circumference, but you're expected to take the back part of your t-shirt and you're going to place your shoulder fold on fold following your notch point. Then you go ahead to measure the armhole circumference on your t-shirt. And what I have here is 10. Now this 10 I have is what I'm going to be using for my round armhole when cutting my sleeve. I'm going ahead to cut a long piece for our sleeve. When cutting out a fabric for your sleeve, remember to take into consideration your armhole circumference on your shirt. Mine is 10 multiplied by 2 will give me 20. So what I cut out is 4 inches more than my actual armhole circumference, and I have 2 pieces of this. So I'll just go ahead to place this on fold using the closed part as the center. I will measure and mark out 1.5 inch upward as hemming allowance, pin it on fold like this. Next, I'm going to come down from the open part by 4 inches, connect with a slanted line to the top like this, measure my armhole circumference according to my shirt and mark out, get the midpoint of my mark line like this, and I'm going to go ahead to make a partial sleeve curve as you see me do like this. For the round sleeve, I'll mark my round sleeve measurement divided by 2 and I'm going to add an extra of 2.5 inches. Connect this with a slanted line to the top and I'm going to go ahead to cut this out following my marked outlines like this. Remember to notch the hemming allowance and the center of the sleeve. To join this together, all you have to do is to join all part of it using your 0.5 inch sewing allowance your normal way, and you hem this. You can use a double stitch line to give it the boutique vibe. Follow the link in the description box to watch a very detailed method on how to achieve a very relaxed t-shirt neckline using your main fabric and not a rib fabric.